Yemen struck Israel for the first time. And the way they did this is quite unbelievable, because the drone was not even detected by the Israeli air defenses. They have no clue that it was even in the air. Do you understand what a serious security risk that is? It is inconceivable that in today's day and age, you can fire any projectile at a country or an entity like Israel, which claims to be such a giant military power, and have them not know about it. And not only that, it hit Tel Aviv. Okay, so this is supposed to be the capital, the most highly guarded prize. Yes? Look at the video.
Ты видишь, дрон летит? Крестюш, ты видишь, что это такое?
I mean, did you hear how loud that thing is? It's like a toothbrush, an electric toothbrush mixed with a moped. And how low it was flying as well, right? Look how low that thing was. That is unbelievable. On target. This is a diplomatic quarter. Do you know that? So not only is this a scandal, a security scandal, but for all the embassies that are located there, the consulates, to be put in such danger is really unheard of. Absolutely unheard of. You just casually fly a drone in. Now I want to show you on the map where this is. So I went in and I found the exact location on Google Maps with the street view, okay? This is where the American embassy is located, as a matter of fact. You can see it's the same place as in the video, right? See that building there? We're in the same place. So it's a diplomatic quarter, and right there, that's the American embassy. The Americans, obviously, they moved their embassy to Jerusalem because Donald Trump wanted to appease the Israelis. So they have another branch, a consulate that's still in Tel Aviv, okay? Just to be clear on that point. Nevertheless, was that the target? That's not known. I don't think that the Yemenis were out for blood from the Americans. I don't think that was the point. The point was just to send a message to both the Americans and Israelis that we can get you. We are able to reach you, and you're not even going to know what hit you. So please understand how historic this moment is. It is unbelievable that 2 weeks ago, Hezbollah are flying drones over the Golan Heights, the Syrian Golan Heights, which are occupied by Israel, filming, footage, just casually filming military sites, surveillance sites that belong to the Israelis. And the Israelis have no clue, none. And then they do the same thing with Haifa, with the port, and they film all of the economic, the top. So they've done the top military and top economic sites, and then publish the videos to show the Israelis, we can get you. We can reach you. We've got surveillance. We've got surveillance drones, and we've got attack drones. And you're not even going to detect them or know that they're there. This is unbelievable. Really true. Really something we've never seen before. So now there's speculation about where did the drone come from? Where did the drone come from? Because Yemen is obviously very far away. I mean, we've looked at how Yemen have struck Eilat before. Okay, so that's the port over here on the Red Sea. But this is what some people speculate the route was. So to avoid detection by all the American ships, all of the Israeli, French, and British ships, because, America and Britain have nothing better to do in the world than to serve Israel's security interests. It's not like there are poor people and homeless people and people who are struggling that need the money. No, let's spend it on adventures in the Red Sea. In any case, all of these ships that are here, the Yemenis just avoided that. They went over Sudan, over Egypt, and then they circumvented the Sinai and then came in from the Mediterranean Sea, which is really genius because the Israelis are not looking towards the Mediterranean Sea, and no one is looking towards that direction of the Mediterranean Sea for Yemeni drones because that's what they least expect. It reminds me of the Japanese overrunning British positions in World War II because the naval guns were fixed and built in place. I mean, these things are absolutely colossal. They're monumental, enormous things. And they're put in place facing the sea, right, to repel a sea invasion. And the Japanese just invaded and came from the back. This is exactly how you how you succeed in battle. If I can provide a similar analogy. And not only did the first drone hit, they sent another one after 6 hours, and they also didn't intercept it. I mean, this is such an embarrassment. It's such an embarrassment, and it's such a military and political achievement for the Yemenis. Unbelievable, really unbelievable. It's crazy that we're in these times. And this is the leader of Ansar Allah, al-Houthi, speaking afterwards, and this is what he had to say.
يمني وأطلقتها قوة يمنية هي قوة الطيران المسير في الجيش اليمني، وليست كما يسميها البعض بأنها صنعت في بلدان أخرى أو أطلقت من بلدان أخرى. بعض لا يطيقون.
So he's saying that air power is one of Yemen's forts, okay? One of Yemen's fortes. And the drone was built locally. It's a Yemeni product. Again, this story just keeps getting more and more impressive. Because this drone, we've never seen it used before, you understand? And this is what I was talking about, what I often mention is that you have a certain psychological element to the deterrence that is enacted by the resistance, okay? So basically, by not revealing, your cards, the enemy's going crazy and paranoid and growing fearful, imagining, and looking and trying to find out and wasting resources and time on what arsenal you possess, okay? And Hezbollah and Iran and the Yemenis, they have specifically avoided using their best weapons precisely for a rainy day. They're saving them for a rainy day, precisely in the event where the war really becomes a regional war, and they're going to need them more than ever. And that will take the Israelis again by surprise. Okay, so this thing, just to be clear, this drone that traveled. I mean, look at the distance, please. Look how far it traveled. 2,600 kilometers, right? It not only spent 16 hours in the air. It was undetected. It hit the target and then did it a second time in the same day. And that is not even their best weapon. This is something that they're just they're sort of using as a deterrent and trying to play on the Israelis psychologically and the Americans as well. Especially after the massacres that happened in the refugee camps in Gaza, in Al-Mawasi and everything else. Look at the reaction from this Israeli American.
This is the American embassy. This is the American embassy. And they tell us death to America, death to Israel. They don't joke.
God, she's so funny. This is the American embassy. It's the American embassy. Oh, what? So it's more special than the Iranian embassy that you blew up with 6 missiles? Where were you then? Zio Barbie? The American embassy. It's this supremacist attitude. Who gives a fuck? You're from America, big deal.
We don't joke. A lot of police.
I mean, she turns the camera and it's like everything is perfectly intact. The buildings are all there. There's electricity. The roads are perfectly functional. Nothing is destroyed. There are no people on the floor screaming. No one is injured. I mean, Christ, like they're trying so hard to make themselves to be, make themselves out to be victims. It's really, really unbelievable. What do you think? What are you trying to show us? You think you're in Gaza? Try being in Gaza. You wouldn't last a day. That's real suffering. No one even knows who she is. Now, don't get me wrong. There were casualties. So the toll up until now is one Israeli who was killed, and you have 9 injured. And I think, again, I don't know if this is correct or not, but there are rumors that the person killed was a sniper in the Israeli army. Now, that I'm not. Please don't misunderstand. That doesn't mean the Yemenis were trying to assassinate some specific sniper in Tel Aviv. No. The point is that Israelis are so militarized because they all have to join the army. That if you just randomly fire into Tel Aviv, you will hit someone who is a sniper or, performing some kind of murderous task that oppresses Palestinians, right? But again, that's not confirmed. I'm just telling you what what's being reported. It's not confirmed though, that specific detail. Now you can see here, this is the US Embassy, just in the vicinity quickly. But I mean, it's just a video showing you how close it was to the strike. Now look, honestly, think logically. If Yemen have drones like this that can travel thousands of kilometers undetected by all the brilliant minds and the technologically superior Westerners, and land without you knowing, I'm pretty sure they can be accurate if they want to. I'm pretty sure, right? So if they were, my point is, if they were really going to go after the US Embassy, they would have hit the US Embassy. Okay? So I don't think there's any point in making it bigger than it is. The idea was to show the Americans and Israelis, wherever you are, whatever defenses you think you have, you're misguided. Here, this is a bit of the damage afterwards. And so what happens afterwards? Well, of course, the media come in, the Western media, and they start trying to create a sob story for the Israelis. Take a look.
This is central Tel Aviv where the attack happened. To give you an idea of the location, the US Embassy is just over here. You can see the flag fluttering in the distance. The Mediterranean Sea is just beyond that. Now, according to people that we've spoken to, this is a residential area. They believe that was the target of the attack. And you can see some of the...
You just said the American Embassy is there. It's not a residential... I mean, look, obviously diplomatic quarters also have apartment buildings and so on, but like, which one is it? I mean, it can be both. I don't know why he's mentioning the American Embassy and then saying the residents were the targets. I mean...
Residential
okay.
Area, they believe that was the target of the...
Perhaps he's pointing at the American Embassy, but it's cut off. Maybe I misunderstood. It's okay. I'll let him finish.
Attack, and you can see some of the damage here. If you look up at this building, people reported hearing 2 blasts, a primary blast and then a secondary one. And the shrapnel and the fallout from the blast wave hit the buildings. Over here, cars have been damaged as well from the falling fragments. You can see the window here of this car has been shattered. We also...
Oh, heaven, pray. You don't say. The window of this car has been shattered. I believe you mean the windscreen, the windshield. Yes, that's going to rack up quite the bill, I can imagine. Wow, the horror. Oh no. You got people in Gaza, children walking on foot because there are no ambulances and rescue services, walking to the hospital, if they can find one, with their limbs like hanging off like this, or their jaws hanging off. But yeah, the poor windscreen. Oh no.
Also spoke to one man who told us his friend was killed in this attack. He was sleeping on one of the roofs of the buildings here, and it's believed he was...
That's crazy. Every time Israel bomb Gaza, they also kill families, entire families in their beds who are sleeping. Wow. Crazy, It's not nice, is it? Can we agree on that? It's not nice. So maybe, the Israelis shouldn't do that.
Hit by falling shrapnel. Now, although there is loss of life and although there is damage here in central Tel Aviv, it's not that is the most significant thing. This will be claimed as a major victory by Israel's enemies. It is symbolic. They've managed...
No, it is objectively a military victory. What the hell is wrong with you, man? Like, he has to say, like, Israel's enemies, like he wants to put this image in your mind that there's like some Iranian puppet master, like who says, oh, the Jews, and somewhere plotting against it. Dude, it is a military victory, and it's done by the Yemenis, and they're doing it to help Gaza. What I don't understand is Britain and America, aren't Britain and America and 50 countries helping Ukraine fight Russia? Why can't Yemen help Gaza? What's wrong with that? He tries to make it out to be like some sinister plot, and like it's a propaganda thing. No, a propaganda thing would not be real. Okay, I mean, Doesn't necessarily have to be fake, but still, this actually happened. You're the one giving us a damn tour. You're literally there giving us a tour of what happened. It is a military victory, objectively speaking. Jesus.
They've managed to hit the commercial to be claimed as a major victory by Israel's enemies. It is symbolic. They've managed to hit the commercial capital of the country. And as for the Israeli defense forces, they will be now looking at how to respond to this attack in the heart of the Jewish state.
There we go. You know, try and use your brain cells to think about Israel's behavior and not its religion. And I think you will make progress as a human being, and especially as someone who works in news. Just try it. Just think, why do people fight the Israelis? What is it they don't like? Is it the religion or the behavior? It's the behavior. You know, it's the behavior. So let's talk about Israel's response. What response do you think this elicited from the Israelis? Well, obviously, the only thing Israelis can do is bomb civilian targets, as usual. But just before I continue, I just want to give you one last thing about this, but which is such a good troll on the part of the Yemenis, and so Yemeni. It's such a Yemeni thing to do. So apparently, they published these evacuation orders online, right? And they made them in the style of the Israeli ones, okay? So it's just like what the Israelis give the Palestinians almost on a daily basis. They drop them by air. They post them online and say, oh, look, if you're in this, and this place, you're in danger, you better leave. And then if you don't leave because you don't want to leave your house because some foreign soldier barked an order at you, well, they'll bomb you in your house. But then that's your fault because Hamas is using you as a human shield, right? So that's Israeli logic. Get out, go away. And if you don't do that, well, too bad, we can kill you. It's your fault. You didn't listen. That's Israeli logic. Always victim blaming. Murder people and then blame the dead people for, being dead. So the Yemenis issued an Israeli-style warning saying, if you're in Tel Aviv, you're in danger. You need to go. You need to get out. Just the same way that the Israelis tell Palestinians, they play ping pong with them and just jerk them around. There's another one also over here. Look. You're in a dangerous combat zone. Now, look, obviously, I'm not saying Yemen airdropped these things over Tel Aviv. I think they were just made for, to troll the Israelis, especially online. But it is such a taste, it is but a small taste of their own medicine, because you can't compare the scale of the attack, and obviously no one is literally forcing Israelis to leave their houses in Tel Aviv the same way that they are in Gaza, right? But it's the principle. It's that, look, we're going to warn you. We're going to say Tel Aviv is not safe, and here's an evacuation order. And whatever happens is on you. Taste of your own medicine. That's what you keep telling Palestinians. And not just Palestinians, by the way. Guess what? The anniversary today's the 22nd, okay? 22nd of July. I'm going to talk about King David Hotel bombing in a bit. And once again, we have Israelis victim blaming. So afterwards, the Israelis did this.
أثناء استهداف ميناء الحديدة بغارات الطيران الصهيوني الأمريكي، استهداف منشآت النفط وأحد ترينات تنزيل الحاويات. سلم الله عاد احنا خرجنا قبل شوية. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. يوم القيامة.
Burned it, all right? They bombed Yemen. The Israelis bombed Hodeidah, which is the most important and the main port city of Yemen. And what did they strike? Take a guess. A power station and a fuel depot. Civilian infrastructure as usual. Because the Israelis, they can't fight. They can't do anything that actually entails military victories. Just make people suffer, And so they killed, let me give you the tally. So they killed 6 people in Yemen and wounded more than 80. And I think those figures have actually risen to a bit more. I think it's actually 9 people dead now and more than 90 wounded. But you can, the point is that this is tenfold, quite literally tenfold, the amount of casualties that they conceded themselves. And this is always the Israeli equation, because if you think you're superior to everybody else, well, if one Israeli is killed, then, one Israeli is worth 100 people, right? That's the, or 10 people. That's the Israeli logic. And you see this applied time and time and time again, right? Because it's a supremacist cult. They literally, they openly call themselves the chosen people. And they're not even actually the Jews that lived there 3,000 years ago. Those are the Palestinians, because they never left. But anyway, that's, So this is what they did, because, they can't fight. And I want to show you the response from the Yemenis, because, just listen to this.
بالغالي والنفيس والله احنا يعني كلما زادونا ضربا ازددنا حبا لاهل فلسطين واهل غزه رغم الضربات احنا متعودين ايش احنا نخسر احنا متعودين احنا هم اللي اذا طفى عليهم الانترنت ولا هذا تقع عندهم مصيبه احنا اهل البأس احنا اولو القوه احنا اولو البأس الشديد لا نخاف من احد ضربوا يضربوا ضرب القياده بمزيد من الضربات على اسرائيل والله يضربوا فخر لنا ان احنا نوقف مع اخواننا في غزه فخر لنا لجميع العرب لانهم شوف الخذلان اللي بيخذلوا غزه رغم المآسي اللي بتحصل والمجازر واحنا جالسين نتفرج عليهم ضحي بالغالي والنفيس والله احنا يعني
Wow. I mean, that is amazing. You heard what he said. He said, despite the strikes, we're used to it. And his point was basically, better they strike us in Yemen than the Palestinians. We would rather take the punches from the Israelis than see the Palestinians being hit. Like basically throwing yourself in front of someone to save them. That is what the Yemenis have been doing the whole time. And by the way, the same can be said of Syria and Iran. The main reason they are demonized is because they defend the Palestinians. That is a fact. That is a fact. And of course, you can go and start finding problems and then, use those to criticize the country. But the main reason is because they support Palestinians. But I want to focus on the Yemenis here, because they really are taking punches from Israel, from the United States, from the United Kingdom, and not just taking the punches, hitting back 10 times harder. They've surprised everyone. They have surprised everyone. And they really put the Arab world to shame. They put the Arab world to shame. Or I should say not the Arab world, but they put the bulk of Arab leaders who are, in the pockets of the West to shame. They really do. I mean, this man, I have no idea who this man is who is speaking in the car. He has more dignity and courage in his pinky finger than, any leader in Jordan or Egypt or Saudi Arabia. And that's a fact. I swear, Yemenis are the salt of the earth. I love them. I love them. I love them so much. There's nothing like them. There's no one like them. Really. And look at the protests. Every week, the size of the crowds, literally millions of people. Every single week. There's no protest movement like that anywhere else in the world. And they come out for Palestine. And Yemen have been bombed. They've been going through hell for 10 years because of the same people, because of the United States, because of Germany, Canada, Australia, the United Kingdom, France, selling and funneling weapons to Saudi Arabia that are then used to bomb Yemen. And Israel bombing the fuel depot, just to give you an idea how evil that is and why they're trying to target civilian infrastructure. I wrote a report 2 years ago with a friend, a Yemeni economist. Okay, so I didn't know him at the time. He approached me and we talked, and then we decided to write this together. He worked at the World Bank. He's an Oxford graduate, and he hates what they're doing to his country, right? So we sat down and we just took all the numbers, the public figures, right, which are an understatement of the suffering that is in Yemen. But just to prove the point that even with these public figures from the IMF and the World Bank, you still come to the conclusion that what they're doing to Yemen is horrific. And what were they doing? you have fuel ships that would sail to Yemen, and then the Saudis and their coalition would intercept the ships and just hold them for, 6 months, 4 months, sometimes a year. And people in Yemen are waiting for the fuel. You need fuel for everything. Most of the electricity grid runs on fuel. No fuel, no electricity, right? You need electricity to produce things, to run bakeries, to make to produce medicine, to have a pharmaceutical industry functioning. For everything, literally everything requires fuel. And when you don't have that, currency then is devalued. You've got inflation. I mean, it's a disaster. It spirals into chaos. And not only that, they wouldn't allow the fuel to go to the main port, Hodeidah, which is the one the Israelis just bombed, right? They bombed that because they know the Yemenis depend on it. It's the lifeline into Yemen. That's why they bombed it, because they're so vindictive. And so what the Saudis would do, and this coalition, with the support of the United States, complete support, delay the ships, unload them in a different port at Aden, and then make the drivers tour the entire damn country. And while they're touring the country, they get stopped by a million different groups, like highway robbery, literally highway robbery. Pay us this money or you can't pass. Okay, then the next checkpoint, And by the time the trucks get to Sana'a, to the capital, the price of the fuel has doubled or tripled. Do you understand this kind of situation that they engineered on the Yemenis? And so for Israel to go and bomb a fuel depot when fuel is so scarce in Yemen because of Israel, because of Saudi Arabia, because of the UK, because of America, is just evil. They're so vindictive, and they're such sore losers and pathetic strategists. They suck, and they can't win anything militarily, so they lash out against civilians. Yemenis don't care. They will not yield. You have to understand something. They picked the worst. They picked the worst adversaries. I'm telling you. Yemenis will not yield. They will not. There's no one like them. There really isn't. So do you know what happened afterwards? Do you know what happened after Israel bombed Yemen? The Yemenis fired missiles. Immediately. There was no time. It wasn't like, okay, we're going to respond in a week. No. Immediately, missiles. The Israelis were able to shoot down one. That means the rest of them went through.
לא, זה חץ.
You see it in the sky, yeah? It's chasing the missile. I mean, I'm sorry. The Israelis have no air defenses to speak of. They're getting pulverized by Hezbollah in the north. They're getting, punched, sucker punched by the Yemenis in the south. Forget it, man. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. The Israelis are not what you think they are. They're not this fighting force of like 50 years ago. What October 7th did, what Al-Aqsa flood did, is reverse everything. Everything. And I'm not just talking about for the Palestinians. It brought back, it compensated for and washed away the shame and the frustration of losing more and more land in 48, and then also in 56 with the Suez Crisis, and then 67, and then with 73, and on and on and on. And then all the annexations. It reversed that frustration. And it didn't just happen on one day. Okay, it didn't just happen during 24 hours. It's been a continuous operation, and that has resulted in more and more humiliations, right? And this is one of those humiliations. Please understand the point that I'm trying to impress upon you, is that it's not about what you like politically or you disagree with. Purely objectively speaking, this is a huge military accomplishment. It just is, and it's not only surprising. It's incredible that the Yemenis did this, especially when they themselves have so many problems, also because of the same enemy, and are barely getting by. They put aside their own worries, they put aside their own troubles and their own difficulties, and really give everything for the Palestinians. And that's more than, and that's more that can be said for, all these rich oil countries in the Persian Gulf. who are in America's pocket and couldn't care less. You know, they could do so much. They don't care. So at the same time, and not many people talked about this, but in the same 24 hours, the Iraqis also fired at Israel at Haifa, okay? And this is something we've been seeing more and more, where the Yemenis and the Iraqis get together and they'll organize a joint operation where they fire drones and missiles at various ports that are occupied by Israel. And something that I should tell you that you should note is that this new drone that Yemen used, okay, the one that they used to strike Tel Aviv, is called Yafa. Why is it called Yafa? Because Tel Aviv itself, the city, used to be called Yafa. Okay, the Israelis are not just colonizers in the sense that they steal the land and so on. They want to erase any form of Arab culture. They want to erase the entire identity of the people that lived in this area for thousands of years. And so they do that by renaming the places, just like Palestine itself. Just rename it Israel. And so this was done on purpose, that they struck Yafa, which is occupied by Israel, with a new drone called Yafa. Okay, that was the point of it. And I mean, this is just what we know now. So I can't even imagine what else they possess. I'm certain that the Israelis are also panicking right now and wondering what to do. But they screwed with the wrong one. I mean, you don't want to fight against the Yemenis. You really are never going to win. The Saudis couldn't win when it was colonized by Britain, also got expelled. You're not going to win. You're not going to win. The determination that these people have is unreal. It's absolutely unreal.
وتهددوننا بالحرب أيها الأغبياء أو ما علمتم أن أهل الحرب أنتم عندما تهددوننا بالحرب أنتم كمن يهدد مريضا بالعافية تعالوا واحشدوا جيوشكم وشداد آفاقكم فالويل لكم الويل يا من جاء يبغي ذلنا وتهددوننا
And that's not just talk. One of the key elements that Arabs possess, it's not just oil as a natural resource, it's the trade routes and the straits. Egypt did nothing. The leadership in Egypt did nothing. And so Yemen is the one that took up that role. Out of all the Arab countries, and not just Arab countries, but in the world, one of the poorest countries, they took up, they rose to the challenge and fulfilled their duty as Arabs, as Muslims, and just simply as human beings. If you told me, 2 years ago that Hezbollah in Yemen would have undetectable surveillance and attack drones flying over the entire Middle East that can't be caught, I mean, I wouldn't have believed you. How's that possible? It's possible, man. Best believe. We are living in a new period. We're living in incredible times. Politically, militarily, economically, everything is changing. Everything is changing. It's unbelievable. From the thing with Trump, right, to Biden being pushed out, to what's happening to the Israelis on the battlefield, BRICS. I mean, everything is changing. It's really quite bewildering and astonishing to behold. And make no mistake, the Yemenis are not going to be deterred. I mean, the Israelis, the best thing for them is to simply stop the genocide. And this evacuation order here that said that they should leave through Ben Gurion Airport, right? That they should go through Ben Gurion. There was another one. I can't find it right now, but this one said the Negev Desert. So that was again taking basically a jab at the Israelis who were telling Palestinians go into the Sinai Desert. That it's a reference to that. The difference is that Yemenis don't actually want to put people in the desert and turn them into refugees and displace them. Only Israelis do that, and do that repeatedly. But honestly, this is a losing battle for the Israelis on every single front. I don't know what they're going to achieve by continuing like this. They're done. They are toast. They are toast. Again, YouTube demonetized my channel because I'm not allowed to say naughty things about Israel. Telling the truth is forbidden. So if you are able to donate a few dollars on PayPal or on a monthly basis on Patreon, please consider doing it because it would really help me continue my journalism and support independent media. So I'd be very grateful. And the links are in the description and also in the chat. Thank you guys very much again for all your donations and all your kind comments. I appreciate it very much.